In 1872, a ship was found drifting in the Atlantic. Its cargo was still there. Its food and water were untouched, but every single person on board had vanished. In December of 1872, a ship was seen drifting across the Atlantic Ocean. Its sails were damaged, its deck was wet and disordered, but it was still moving. When another crew finally boarded it, they found something deeply unsettling. The cargo was still there. Food and water were still there. The crew's belongings were still there. But every person on board had vanished. No bodies, no signs of a final struggle, no clear explanation. Only a ship still alive enough to sail and completely empty. This was the Mary Celeste, and nearly a century and a half later, nobody knows for certain what happened to the people aboard. The Mary Celeste left New York in early November 1872, bound for Genoa, Italy. On board was Captain Benjamin Briggs, an experienced and respected seaman. He wasn't alone. Traveling with him were his wife, Sarah, their young daughter, Sophia, and 7 crew members. This wasn't supposed to be a dangerous voyage. The ship carried over 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol, and by all accounts, it departed in good condition. Then, about a month later, another ship, the Dei Gratia, spotted a vessel behaving strangely near the Azores. It moved awkwardly. Its sails were partly set. No one appeared on deck. Signals were sent. No answer. So a boarding party crossed over. What they found became one of the most famous maritime mysteries in history. The Mary Celeste was abandoned. Not destroyed, not burned, not covered in blood, just abandoned. There was water in the hold, but not enough to explain immediate disaster. The cargo was mostly still in place. There was enough food and fresh water to last for months. Personal possessions remained inside. The galley showed no sign of a meal interrupted by panic. And yet, the lifeboat was gone. That detail changed everything, because it meant one thing. At some point, the crew on that ship made the decision to leave it. They stepped off a vessel that was still floating, still carrying supplies, still capable, at least to some degree, of surviving the sea, and they were never seen again. That is what makes the Mary Celeste so disturbing. Not just that people disappeared, but that they seem to have abandoned safety for something worse. Investigators searched for answers almost immediately. Was it mutiny, piracy, insurance fraud, murder? The theories came quickly. Some believed the crew had turned on the captain and his family. Others suspected the crew of the Dei Gratia, imagining some hidden scheme to profit from salvage rights. But there was never enough evidence to prove it all. No confirmed signs of violent struggle, no bodies in the water, no survivors washing ashore, no final message explaining the decision, just absence. Over time, a different theory became more popular: the cargo. The Mary Celeste was carrying industrial alcohol, and some researchers later suggested that fumes from leaking barrels may have built up in the hold. Maybe there had been a small blast, not a fireball that destroyed the ship, but a sudden pressure event, a loud, terrifying sound, enough to convince Captain Briggs that the vessel was about to explode. If that happened, then the decision makes a little more sense. Imagine it. You're in the middle of the Atlantic. Your cargo is unstable. You hear a violent sound from below deck. Your pumps may not be giving you confidence. Your instruments may be imperfect, and you have your wife and little daughter on board. Maybe you don't wait for proof. Maybe you lower the lifeboat. Maybe you tie it to the ship with a rope. Maybe you plan to stay nearby until the danger passes. And then something goes wrong. A rope snaps, the weather shifts, the ship pulls away, and suddenly the people are stranded in open water, watching the Mary Celeste drift beyond reach. If that is what happened, then the final moments were not supernatural. They were human. A decision made under pressure, a judgment call made in fear, a few minutes of panic, followed by silence. But even that theory is still only a theory, because the truth is, no one knows whether Captain Briggs feared explosion, whether he misjudged the amount of water in the hold, or whether something else happened entirely. And that uncertainty is why the story endures. The Mary Celeste was not swallowed by a storm. It did not sink into the Atlantic with all hands. It remained there, floating like a witness that refused to speak. A ship with food, a ship with cargo, a ship with no crew. As if the ocean had erased the people and left the stage behind. That may be the most haunting part of all. Not the mystery of how they died, but the image of that vessel moving across empty water, its sails still catching wind, while no living soul remained aboard to guide it. A ghost ship in the truest sense. And somewhere in the distance, beyond the reach of history, the answer disappeared with them.
If you thought this was one of history's strangest true stories, subscribe to Null Echo for more dark, strange, and unexplained mysteries from history, science, and space.